But when you're the guy chasing these women, you have no gauge of how interested they are in you. You have no gauge of whether or not they just used you for a one-night stand or they're using you for money. But when a woman is chasing you by texting you good morning, checking in on you, wondering when she can see you again, I hope you have a great day, sending you videos of her working out at the gym, sending you pictures of her cooking or doing whatever just to get your attention, you know you can invest a little bit more time, a little bit more money into this girl. She has high interest in you.
Yeah.
But when the guy's chasing a girl, you can't do that. You cannot do that. I don't care how good you are at the game.
Welcome back to the channel. You see the information on the screen, so you know I'm all about marriage. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm here for. So let's get into it. So I did think this was very interesting because we don't talk about this enough. And I'll be honest, I don't talk about it enough on this channel. You know, I do bring it up every blue moon, but I don't go into depth. So this video is primarily for the men, but I know a lot of women will watch this video as well. Now, that being said, okay, I actually agree with this man, but I did want to give, again, some parameters because I believe, again, in our society, what we're not doing is we use words very loosely, all right? So one person will use the word chase and it'll mean one thing, and then somebody else will use the word chase and it'll mean something else. One time at Christian Singles Connect or over at Christian Young Adult Singles, those are the two groups that I am over, we actually had this huge discussion one time about the word chase. And it was evident by the time we went through about 20 people that everybody had a totally different definition of the word chase, right? And to me, or pursue, you know, pursue and chase can be used interchangeably. And so what was happening was what a lot of women thought this concept of pursuit or chase meant was that the man was just giving her attention. That's really all it was. The man is giving her attention. And so I was like, but that's not what pursuit or chase means. You know, it's like if you're chasing, you know, something in nature, like for instance, if a fox is chasing a rabbit, the rabbit does not want to be caught. It is doing its best to avoid the fox that's how this works. Chasing means you don't want to be caught. And there's this concept that goes way, way, way back in time where people think that the chasing act is fun. They think that people like to chase, that they like that energy where the woman plays hard to get. And the problem with that is that really is a toxic mindset because healthy people don't think like that. Healthy people don't move like that. And healthy people understand, okay, that there's something on the other side, okay, with the person while they're basically rejecting you, okay? And so a healthy person is not going to continue to chase or even pursue someone who seems like they don't want to be caught. Now, what that really means and shows up in reality is that when you have a woman or a man that is trying to talk to the other person and they send them 3 texts and then the other person sends them back 1 text. Unless that 1 text had a lot of information in it or they jumped on the phone or something like that. That's not how that works. And so what's happened is women are saying, okay, we want you to pursue us. We want you to chase us. We want you to do this, that, and the third. And a lot of men have jumped into that toxic boat. Especially when it comes to women that they think are very attractive or anything like that. But I always encourage men, do not chase women. Do not pursue women like that. Okay, going after a woman or dating a woman to me is very tit for tat, you know, especially in the beginning, right? So it's like if I'm putting in effort, I'll put in, you know, 55% of the effort, even 65% of the effort in the beginning. Okay. But after about a week or so, I'm going to probably be putting in maybe 55% of the effort. When a woman is trying to get you to put in 80% of the effort, she's basically saying she don't want you. And if she does want you, she's toxic. It's one or the other. And in both scenarios, you don't want her. And this is one of the problems again, that goes on in our society. Because again, we're using these words and everybody doesn't really understand the definition and everybody's saying it, but in your mind, it might be actually a totally different thing. One thing I've noticed with women they're interested in men, they engage them more. They're sitting there looking at them, waiting for a response from the man. They give pauses, so that you can talk to them or get their phone number. They're actually putting in effort to try to see if this relationship or anything can go on. If you text them, they text back. If you miss a day of saying good morning, they say good morning to you. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed your text last night. Good morning, how are you doing? They're not spending and wasting days upon days and all this other kind of stuff in order to talk to you. And there was another video that I did where there was a guy talking about picking women, trying to teach men how to pick women. And what he was basically saying is that a lot of men are going after these IG-esque type of women, these 9s and 10s, these really gorgeous or overly beautiful women. And they'll spend all their effort and time trying to get these women to work, where you might have a quote unquote 7 or 8 or even a 6.5 that is right there next to you, and she's giving you effort, and she basically is giving you all of her attention, and she's basically saying, I want to talk to you, but then you're overlooking her. And see, a lot of men get themselves hurt when they're out there chasing. Okay. Now, one of the things that you can do, which, I'll be honest, as a man, is, and this is the easier thing to do, okay, is you don't really chase women. It's just like with anything else. Like for us as humans, okay, way, way, way back in the day, we were just like the fox. Okay, we wanted to eat that rabbit, right? So we're basically running after the rabbit. We chasing the rabbit and it didn't work. Okay, then we decided, okay, we're going to get spears and, and bow and arrow, and then we'll just wait all night in the trees until the rabbits come out, and then we'll, hit them with the bow and arrow. Again, that's not time sufficient. That wasn't sufficient because we spent way too much time hunting for very little meat, right? So what's the best way to get the rabbit? Simple. You give the rabbit what it wants, and then it'll come out of wherever it is in order to get it. And there's even ways to get more and more in that environment. So how do you do it? You observe the rabbit. So the rabbit is out there, it's going about its way, and you start to see, okay, it eats leaves. Okay, but what else does it eat? Does it eat something that I can actually provide for it? So in our stereotypical world, okay, that we're going to use right now, we find that rabbits eat vegetables, okay? And like with Bugs Bunny, he likes to eat carrots. So we as humans, we can grow carrots. So at first, what we can do is we can actually take a whole lot of carrots and we just start, putting them around in the areas where the rabbits hang out. Then after a day or so, we put more, but we don't put them as close to where the rabbits are. We start to pull them out a little bit more to the areas that we want them to hang out in. And the rabbit will follow. That's exactly how rabbits work. Their first day they come out, oh, it's carrots. Yum, 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 eat all these carrots. And then about 2 or 3 days later, they're like, well, there was carrots over here. But then they start smelling. They say, oh, I can smell carrots on the wind. And then they'll move 100 yards or wherever, closer to wherever you want them to be, because they still want the carrot. And now more rabbits are coming because they're all, trying to find these carrots. And then at that point, what you do is you set up your trap, because now the rabbits are very comfortable. They think this is where, the area they can hang out in and get all the carrots that they want. And then what you do is you trap one and you pull it away. Okay, you set your trap, you go to sleep, you wake up in the morning, you done caught a rabbit. But the rabbits, what they continue to do, they just continue to come into that area over and over again, because now you've got them coming out. As long as you're providing free carrots every once in a while, they will continue to come to that area. And so even if the first rabbit, you're like, I'm not really feeling this rabbit, you set yourself another trap, and because you've put all that out there, boom, you got another rabbit. And then boom, you just keep following the same pattern. There are certain things women like. and they'll always like them. That's one of the main reasons why I'm always telling men, get in leadership positions, especially at your church. And when I say leadership here, I'm not talking about the deacons. I'm not talking about the pastors, but you can be an usher. Okay, you can be, in the children's ministry. You need to be in places where women can see you and they can ask questions to you. Because when you do that, you're now elevating yourself over all the other men. So now everybody sees you. Every woman has to go past you on the daily basis. So now they're noticing you because that's how women work. And if you're in a situation where, I'll just be real, and a lot of men understand this, where you can show off a little bit of money, if you got it like that, again, that is going to draw women. Even the women say that I don't care about that. No, they're going to pay a little bit of attention to it. Now, if you flaunt it, a lot of women are not going to like that. But if you just do little bitty things, the smart women will pick that up. They'll be like, well, he don't flaunt it, but, he got some money somewhere. And then you start to show leadership. You start to show caring about other people. Because women do better when they observe from a distance for a while. And then as they observe, what happens is, again, more and more of them are gathering in the area you want them to gather. This is now the carrot, right? And so now as they gather, okay, you start to set your traps. And you talk to one woman and you're like, well, I'm not feeling this woman. So you let her go. And then you get another woman and you continue that process until you found your woman. All right. And then you as a man can go into other environments and do the same thing to try again to pull these women to you. You don't need to chase women. You can actually have women to come to you. But you have to be willing to do the things that the women want. Now, for some men, that might take time and effort to actually build that up. All right. But what I've learned, and I've even talked to a lot of women about, is that the man who comes in anxious, the man who comes in seeming like the hunter, with his spear or his bow and arrow, looking like this, and when we go into, environments where there's a lot of single women, men will be like this with their head on a swivel. That actually turns women off. They don't like that. So it's better to just chill, try to figure out a couple of things that you can do in order, to get these women interested. And then once you do that, you can now talk to the women, like I said, in that environment and pull them out one by one. And one of the things that I've learned is that most of the women in that environment, they will let you know with little bitty things whether or not they're interested. But again, that's just another thing. But when you get into this mode, like the gentleman said, of chasing the woman, a lot of women, they just don't respond well with that energy. It puts too much power on their side. And one of the things that most women will agree to is that they like a man, okay, who they believe is more powerful than them, smarter than them, okay, more ambitious than them, all these types of things. So they really like a man that in their mind is better than them. So for a woman, it's better for her to send you 7 texts and then you send her back 5 texts than it is for it to be in reverse. So the more you are putting in effort, especially in the very beginning, yes, you put in effort because you're trying to, get this ball rolling. But if you continue to do that, then a lot of women are going to pull back and they're just not going to be as attracted. Okay. And I know for a lot of women that are listening to this, again, we're talking about men that are healed. Okay. So for the women that have watched this video, I'm just being real. Any man can take this and manipulate it. But it's the same thing I say even for a lot of the videos that I do for women. People, unfortunately, can manipulate, and you can't worry about that. Well, we have to focus in on the healthy men, all right? Because I know there'll be some women that will not like this video because of some of the things that I said. But the bottom line is we have a lot of healthy men that really just don't understand what they need to do to get women. And so it causes problems because a lot of the women out there, they're screaming and saying, where are the men, where are the men, where are the men? And it's like I've told you all before, there's plenty of men, but a lot of those men that you all are avoiding are good men, but I have to get those men in that position where they can actually get to you and that you will accept them when they come in. Because unfortunately, like I've said a million times, I've been doing this now for about 5 years, since 2020, doing some kind of video. And I'll be honest, I've said this stuff over and over and over and over and over again. And I've had very few people take the advice 100% and just say, okay, I'm doing it. And almost every time they do it, they get success. But it's like a lot of people, they piece part it, they get it confused with other influencers that they're watching. And so it just gets all messed up. So I need to get the men where the men need to be. Okay. And I'm just letting the men know that I 100% agree with this guy. You don't chase women. Now, again, if y'all are both putting in effort, around 50%, that's what it should be. And I don't mind men putting in a little bit more effort in the beginning because you're supposed to be a leader. So yes, put more effort in the beginning. But once it gets going, guys, okay, you should be around 50% effort. She should be around 50% effort. In fact, I would say men throughout the whole relationship, I believe, should be putting in a little bit more effort, like 51, 52%. Just simply because that's what leaders do. And like I said before, when you look at Jesus, Jesus led, in a very sacrificial manner. Now, he was very quick to say, hey, you got to do what I tell you to do. You got to follow me, blah, blah, blah. But he did lead in a very sacrificial manner. And so I do believe that part of leadership means you put yourself out there a little bit more. So I always want men to give a little bit more effort than their wives. And I do believe that that's how it should be. But again, guys, it should not be you're doing 75% of the effort when you're married and then the woman is doing 25. And I've actually seen that. I've seen that before. Where a man, he's just so in love with this woman that she ain't doing nothing. She's just sitting around chilling and he's working 2 jobs, taking care of the kids, doing this, doing that. And you don't want that either. You want it to be balanced, okay, within the relationship. But anyway, remember every other Thursday, we do Thursday Talks. We always have a really great time on Thursday Talks. So please come out for that. And if you hit the subscribe and hit the bell, because many of you, have not quite hit that bell yet. But if you hit the bell or go back, it'll notify you. So you don't even have to think about it. It'll just, pop up on your phone and then you can join in. And you're always welcome to come out to the Zoom where you can actually talk and interact with other people, give your opinions. That works great because we really want, everybody to have a voice out here in this space. But anyway, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you all in the very next video.